again with another amazing session. As you know, I bring in these live sessions every Thursday, and the focus of this session is to help us understand what is happening in the job market, where the opportunities are, how do we grow in our careers. So my focus is to help the community that is with me or that joins in my life to understand how they can tap into opportunities. Every alternate Thursday, I bring in a fantastic gentleman, Mohammed Faisal, who is the founder of one of the best e-learning platform for emerging technologies called Al Nafe. And Al Nafe is actually doing some phenomenal work. And the best thing about this platform is that they handhold you throughout the process. So you learn and you learn things that are in demand in the market today, and with the team you learn and you find your opportunities as we grow. So whoever is with me in this live session, please introduce yourself and I'll be happy to show your name. This is a great opportunity for you to learn and network with people from all over the world, whoever is commenting on this post. So without any further ado, I will bring in Faisal Bhai. Assalamu alaikum, Faisal Bhai, how are you?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Alhamdulillah, I'm good, Ahmad bhai.
Zabardast. So today's topic is again very interesting. Google being one of the largest technology company in the world, and we all use Google all the time, right? And there are tons of opportunities for people to work at Google at various levels, and still a lot of people don't really understand how they can find opportunities in Google. And today's topic is focused at that. And I know you and Al Nafe has helped many Al Nafe students, to find opportunities in like top companies, PwC, Deloitte. But today, I really wanted to learn from you is what are some of the challenges usually people face? I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of people applying for jobs in Google. But what are some of the things that they don't really know before applying? And so that's first question. The second question, of course, will be to understand what are the things they should really be doing to get their first interview offer. While we'll also take some questions from the participants as we go along, and we'll also talk about Al Nafe and how Al Nafe is transforming lives. Or anyone who's interested in learning and growing in the fastest growing opportunity field, which is emerging technology. So, first question again, what are some of the things uh, that are that are often overlooked by applicants?
So, we have to establish a couple of ground rules first. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the most merciful. So, the first thing we have to establish is that um, there are millions of jobs available right now in around the world globally, and Google is a global company. They, out of North America, they have offices in US and Canada. Pretty much wherever you go, you will find their offices, right? And all the G20 countries. Russia is an exception. So, much like right now, it's a club of G19 countries. Um, so the first thing we have to establish is that what is Google and what are they looking for? So Google is a company which primarily is in the business of a couple of solutions, and they pride themselves on being developers, right? If you want to work in Google, you need to understand some of their solutions, but you also need to understand and have the skill set that they're looking for, and they are looking for developers. So if you want to work in their storage or infrastructure, you still have to be a developer or need to know how to understand the development aspects. If you want to work in the networking part, storage part, infrastructure part, developer, applications part, obviously you need to be a developer. If you want to work in their cloud business, and keep in mind that Google, there are four big players in the cloud business around the world. The primary one is AWS, which is leading the pack in the cloud business. Secondary is Azure. Third is IBM, and the fourth is GCP, Google Cloud Platform. And in the cloud business, Google is still classified as a startup because they're still developing their solutions, right? So again, as I said, if you want to work in the GCP part, the Google Cloud Platform, you still have to be a developer. Google has, so wherever you go, in whichever department you want to work in, apart from HR and couple of, even in the HR, you will find data science, and being a developer helps you, so on and so forth. But no matter which department you work in, the expectation is that you do need to understand and need to be, I would say, have that analytical mindset of being a developer, because that helps, right? So that's the first thing we have to establish. Google is a company which is in the business, is not in the business of infrastructure. It is not in the business of hardware. It is in the business of developing applications. So Gmail is an application. Google Maps is an application. Google Cloud Platform is an application itself at the end of the day. So no matter what product you touch, you will find applications. So that's the first thing that we have established, that to work in Google, you need to understand and have good aspects, good knowledge of development aspects, right? Now, what kind of development are they really looking for? Like, what exactly are they looking for? Predominantly, 99.99% of the time, they're looking for developers who understand one of the primary languages which is fueling the internet innovation, which is fueling everything, is Python, right? So you need to be expert in Python. And the other aspect that they're really looking for is DevOps, right? Which is a merger between developers and operation guys. So they are looking for DevOps at the same time. The other aspect that they're looking for is all the emerging technologies like data science, big data, cybersecurity, offensive security, blockchain, all these kinds of aspects. But as I said, all of these aspects, they are looking for, at the end of the day, experts as being developers, right? So that's one of the things. Excuse me. So that is something that we established. Google is a company, which is predominantly in the business of applications, and Google is a company that is looking for developers. Pretty much like if you pick up a rock at Google, there will be something, a piece of code will be written over, right? So if you walk around in the company and if you ask people like, what do you do? He or she might say, yes, I work in the development department, applications department. I mean, no matter what they do, as I said, they are in the business of developing applications. Now they treat everything as a software, infrastructure as a software, infrastructure as a code, security as a code. All these aspects that I'm just naming them, they essentially are treating everything as a code. Google is a company which was started by a single piece of code, which was the Google for the Google search engine, right? This is all, that was their secret recipe. And this is how the company started. So the first thing they're looking for is you need to have a good understanding of development aspects. And predominantly, if you have to pin something up, what kind of development, I would say DevOps, right? DevOps is something that any application which resides on the cloud from any of these cloud providers, how can you consume it? How can you integrate with it? How can you monitor it? How can you manage it? These are all the aspects that are done by DevOps, and that is predominantly what they are looking for. So that's one of the things, your answer to the first question.
Right. So basically, what I learned from you now just now is that it's a very diversified company, first of all, and as a diversified organization, the opportunities are also multiple, and in different places they bring in small pieces, put these pieces together in shape of a code, and present that as something that what we see as the end product, and for which they require people who have different skills or skill sets. And as you rightly said, the cloud is a very different technology from cybersecurity. But what is the converging point, right? If I am, so it's, as you know, I'm an economist. If I am looking, okay, as an economist, I want to actually admire to work at Google. Then first, of course, I need to understand or learn or have some skills in emerging technologies. So what is that one skill that you would suggest me to start work on, and what will be the next stage of my journey as someone who is aspired to get job at Google?
So if you want to work in the FANG stocks, as they are called, like the FANG, the Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, right? They call it collectively as FANG. F for Facebook, A for Amazon, uh, FANG, and something like that, right? So Microsoft and Google, these are all the companies that you will see. And part of these technology companies, they have one thing in common. And as I said, like if there's a guy who's an economist, for example, if he wants to work at Google or any of these companies, or if there's a guy, let's stretch it up, right? If there's a guy who's an engineer, electrical engineer, electronics engineer, any multidisciplinary engineer, and he wants to work in the engineering department of Google, right? Again, they predominantly focus on software as compared to anything else, because this is the age of applications, and this is the age of data. Data is the most important commodity on the face of the planet right now, right? And, and no one knows this thing better than Google itself, because they pride themselves in terms of collecting all kinds of data, right? And that's how they're making money. Uh, so if you look into from all the aspects, so if there's an accountant, and yes, and thank you, and for Netflix, and if there's an accountant, or if they who wants to work at the Google accounting department, economist who wants to work in the economics and department, cost management guy who wants to work in the cost management side. If there's an HR guy who wants to work in the HR, if there's an infrastructure guy who wants to work in Google at infrastructure, a software developer, or any of these aspects, like you can pick up any area that you believe, there's a department in Google. Then there is only one singular aspect. And if you ask me, what is the silver bullet that helps you, you know, take it down and make it minimize and converge? Like if you have to converge all these guys to one singular thing, which is converging them, and that convergence point is going to be, in my view, this is my perception, and my wisdom and my perception is coming from almost like 22 years of industry's experience, the CISO, the CIO for all these major companies, right? So my perception would be that there's one singular point, and that singular point is DevOps, development of applications within the cloud. Everything that Google does resides in the cloud. Everything that they're selling resides in the cloud, right? Any of these companies, Netflix, Amazon, Google, Tesla, all of these companies, whatever they do, some of them, Tesla is a hardware company, they pride themselves in hardware, the car and everything, right? But even then, the software is the heart and the soul of the car, right? So Amazon, again, it's a purely data analytical company. All of these companies, the convergent point is DevOps, which is essentially you need to understand, if you're an economist, you need to play with the data. And the only way you can play with the data, I mean, you won't be going through the beige book, the red book, the black book that comes out from the Federal Reserve. You won't be doing that. Yes, you will be reading it, but even that data comes as a CSV file, and you have to import that file in somewhere within the cloud, and then you have to run these machine learning tools and different other tools. Or create a data lake. Even the Federal Reserve is now creating a data lake of all the data points, verticals, and everything, right? So in the next few years, you will find this beige book as an online, data set that you can import, and you can go through all of those things, and you can find out, visualize the data, so on and so forth. So if you really want to get to the singular point of any department where you need to work in, and if you understand the cloud technologies, if you understand DevOps parts, with cybersecurity, GRC, and aspects, all those kinds of things, you can easily work within Google in any department, because wherever you go, you will find these technologies like data science, big data, artificial intelligence, blockchain. And if you know DevOps, you can easily work in any department within Google. Even if you're in HR, you will be, you know, managing data from different aspects and whatnot. But those tools, they reside on, in the cloud. And if you don't know how to utilize these tools, how to call the APIs, how to create a smaller application and import the data, export the data, create different data streams, and all those slice and dice, all that thing. If you don't know this, and the only way you can know this is if you understand the DevOps part. So DevOps, I always keep telling my students, one of the singular function to be successful for any person, if it's in arts, business, marketing, HR, engineering, mechatronics, electrical, electronics, no matter where you go, you will find technologies that are encapsulating the global industries, IoT, IIoT, but all of that data resides in the cloud. And those solutions, if you want to work on the solutions, you really need to understand how to work with the DevOps, because DevOps will enable you to create smaller solutions, import the data, export the data, visualize the data, whatever you want to work, that will be in the cloud. And if you understand, if you really want to know how the cloud works, you need to be part of the DevOps. That's the number one skill set, that if you have that, I mean, Google will open doors for you. It's like this, and say, yes, you come and we would like a conversation with you. Because that's one of the things that the universities are, this is an additional answer, that the universities are failing to provide. Is universities are still teaching, they are creating engineers, electrical, electronics, mechanical, mechatronics, all these kinds of engineers, but they have zero clue of what is cloud. Civil engineers, architects. They are creating marketing professionals, accounting professionals, management professionals, consultants, and Steve Jobs used to say, consultants are the most useless people. Right? He used to emphasize on engineers, but that's his view. I disagree with that. I mean, consultants, they play a very vital role in basically providing the vision of how to, comply with the business requirements and how to design all the controls, right? So, in my view, the most important aspect that the universities are failing in terms of basically equipping the students and their graduates with is teaching them how to utilize these cloud technologies. And one of the things that everyone should learn is basically how to become a DevOps engineer. That's the number one.
Superb. So we have a question from Nuruddin Muhammad, and he asks, I am from electrical background, worked as ELE, now changing to software as I found much growth day by day. The way world is moving digitally, I am learning full stack development. I think he was right. Suggestion for getting placed.
So we have, at Nafe, we have designed a DevOps track. This DevOps track is where, like, we teach you all the industry aspects, and then we also teach you in all the multiple languages that you speak, all the three dominant languages spoken by out of 8 billion people, roughly 6 billion people that speak these languages. And you can pick, and your language is already there. Uh, what we do is, like, we teach you three important perspectives. One is a full stack developer, that's one perspective. But then there's a DevOps automation guy, that's the second perspective. And then there's a full stack developer and a DevOps automation specialist. So you need to understand all the three aspects to be able to learn Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, infrastructure as a code, various cloud technologies, AWS, all the tools. And by the way, all these big companies, cloud companies, what they have done is They are providing these services by utilizing all the open source solutions. They're not creating new solutions. They're offering these open source solutions as a way of easier consumption. It's just like fast food. You can make a burger at home. It will be a healthy burger, but it requires time and effort. You go to the butcher, you get the meat, the minced meat, you put in the spices and everything. You come back home, you put in the spices, you make a patty, and you fry it up. Right? That takes time, but it's a healthy option. But obviously, you have to be prepared for it, right? But then you can go to McDonald's, or I've never been to McDonald's because there's no ones here, right? Um, you can go to, but I did try Burger King in Dubai once, right? So you can go to any of these fast food places, and you order what you need, they will give it to you. They say, "Hey, here you go. This is your Big Mac, or Triple Mac, or Tetra Mac, or right Max they sell. This is for you, and you can be served within 10 minutes, and you pay for that. You consume. This is an analogy of cloud technology. Whatever you need, whenever you need to consume something, you go onto the cloud, you pay them, they give you the service. Khalas. Khalas in Arabic means like it's done. Right? Capiche, as we call it might be something that Italians they use, and it's done. But if you really want to, and this is exactly what these cloud technologies are doing, but it's convenient, it's easier for you, it saves time, it saves all those things that you're looking for. But that's what the companies are doing, and you can say this is a good cloud because the prices are very competitive. The solutions are very easy to use and consume. So you can say that uh, these companies, AWS, GCP, IBM, and Azure, Microsoft Azure, they're not like selling fast food technologies now, but they are providing you economical options of consuming these technologies and be able to expedite your business and be able to go to the market, as we call it the GTM process, go to market process with your product much faster, right? So you can consume it, develop a solution, go out into the market and start selling it, right? So uh, that is in a nutshell what these organizations are doing. And if you really want to be uh, at that level, full stack is not going to cut it. You have to learn all of these things. That's what.
Okay, so I mean, I know being part of Al Nafe over the past so many months, I understand and I exactly know that Al Nafe is actually helping students find opportunities, and there's a process that you adopt, which helps them really outshine and prosper in the job market. So it would really be great if you could tell us, and I always ask this question, tell us what the process is, because those people who are joining us for the first time would like to know, as you know, if they become part of Al Nafe and learn on this platform, how Al Nafe is going to help them.
So, one of my students in Canada, he has his interview at Google, and there are around 6 to 8 rounds that he has to go through, right? So just after this, I'll be preparing him, and there's another student in Finland. So the first student is studying blockchain advancement track, and the second one is studying career advancement track, where what we do is like the reason that our students within 3 to 6 months time when they're studying with us, they get all the hands-on experience and everything, and they go out into the market and they're able to secure jobs. Is basically the reason is that what we do is we teach them the job description from day one. So when you go to a university, they teach you, it's like if I have to give you an analogy, if you really want to become, if you go to a school, they teach you A, B, C, D, from kindergarten and all above. They teach you phonics, consonants, vowels, all these kinds of things, and you gradually build up your understanding and whatnot. But then you go to the college, they teach you. So every step of the way, they're teaching you. Right? So schools are preparing you for the college, and colleges are preparing you. But the schools, they are supposed to prepare you not only for the college but also for the professional life as well. How to go out into the market and start working. Colleges are then in your life. The second step starts with college, and then you're in the college. But the colleges are supposed to prepare you for the university and also for the practical life, so that you can go out and work, right? But then you go to the university, and then you find out their job is to prepare you for the, for your professional career, for, for the market, with entrepreneurships or whatever skills that they need to provide, and also prepare you for professional life, so on and so forth. All of these institutes are failing in their jobs. Schools are failing, universities are failing, colleges are failing, because they are focusing on the academic stuff, right? And the academic stuff, the academia is all about what they, because one of the primary reason is, just like in schools, they're not practical hands-on teachers. Hands-on teachers means, like, whatever they're teaching, are they, utilizing these things in personal and professional lives or not, in professional capacities? The answer most probably is no, right? Most of the time. In colleges, it's the same story. In university, it's much worse. They prepare you for, I guess, like academia. I call them paper tigers, right? So they like, when you do your project, the project is all focused on gathering as much, um, you can say, literature review papers as possible. At least you have to review, 200-300 papers, understand the topic, come up with two objectives, write down a dissertation, and that's it, right? And then when that person completes that, and this is a story which is common in Asia, in Middle East, in any continent, wherever you go, except Antarctica. I mean, there are only a bunch of scientists there and penguins. So you will find it in every continent. That is the same story, right? So they are failing you to do that. What we do at Enough is we prepare you from day one and teach you the job description. In the olden times, when a person needs to become a knight, they used to be, if so, you can select your son. I want my son to be a knight, and you will ask your son. You will ask the knight if he can take, my son under his command, under his wings, and he can train him. So the knight will train him how to read, how to write, how to speak, how to stand, all of these things, because he's being prepared to become a knight, right? There's a specific terminology. I can't remember what that person is called. And you take that there's a terminology we call that child. Something. I can't remember from the top of my head, right? Similarly, in the Islamic terms, when someone wants to become, make their people, make their kids scholars or doctors, they will embed them with the doctors or engineers or scholars or alchemists or whatever, right? So that kid is learning the art from day one. Day one. So, I'm a big historian, you can say geek, and I review a lot of things. So, one of the things I've noticed is that's like, in the olden times, everyone was doing homeschooling pretty much. Right? The kings, you know, knights, all of these guys, right? So there was no institutionalized education. The institutionalized education is creating, uh, not innovators, rather than they're creating different kind of people. So that for that reason, when we created this platform, we said, you know what, we're going to teach person the job description from day one. So this is what we're doing. We are giving you the same solutions that are being utilized by these companies, like Google and all those, or they are utilizing, or they're trying to use, or they are trying to create. We're giving you the same applications, same processes, same standards, same hardware, same software, all of these kind of things. So when you learn these things and you go out for the interview, we also give you like a job, internship letter that you did with us, all of these things. So when you were doing infrastructure support, developing blockchain applications, you were a certification for supply chain, all of these kind of things. So when you go out for the interview and they ask you all the relevant questions, because what we are doing is we're teaching you the job description. So whatever the job is in the market, all the companies are looking for, we teach you all of those things. And that is what enables you. That is why, you know, all of our students, when they go out into the market and when they ask them, how do you perform risk assessment? How do you develop, these application, that application? They're able to answer that. And they're not only able to answer that, but they're able to explain, how did I do each and every step, right? And this is what enables you our students to be successful and be able to work in all the Fortune 500 companies.
Superb. So it's really, really interesting and important for finding an opportunity is to work on the practical side of the opportunity. So if you are using, for instance, we learn from experience and we learn by doing things. And what I understand is what your labs, Al Nafi labs, are helping your students be so successful is by providing them the hands-on opportunity. So they're actually working on those projects hands-on, which gives them the opportunity to share what they have learned. Rather than just talking theory, they can actually talk practical when they're in the interview. Aris Siddiqui is asking any tips for people new to the tech world.
I mean, technology in the next few years, as per the World Economic Forum report, by the end of this year and by the end of next year, around 85 million jobs will be wiped out. You know, and you can see and search online. You will find out all the data. There are accountants, auditors, analysts, all these kinds of jobs because automation is creeping in. Every person on the face of the planet, he needs to learn how to code. He needs to learn how to utilize cloud technologies because that's a reality, right? Similarly, if you want to be successful in the West, you really need to know how to how to drive a car because you need a license. Wherever you go, you will be required to have a license. And if you don't have a license, then people will frown at you like, why don't you have a license? Because that distinguishes, like, if you can be on time, work on time, be punctual, so on and so forth. I mean, it opens doors to so many other things, right? So driving is a key skill. Swimming is a key skill. Learning cloud technologies is going to be mandatory because after cloud, what is coming? I mean, we can speculate all what we want, but even now, the quantum computing as a service is available. I mean, Microsoft is, I mean, we are creating a track known as quantum computing advancement, where we are teaching everyone quantum computers, right? How to utilize quantum computers. It's a combination of big data and AI, right? And a couple of other things, sysops and DevOps. And you can utilize all those things. So you yourself, your kids, our youth, our generation, they really need to learn how to, how to code, how to utilize. There are a couple of things I always say that they need to understand. So imagine my thumb as all the industries where you want to work in. No matter what you study, music, arts, whatever, business, economics, commerce, engineering, whatever, right? Even health sciences. Imagine these are all the industries. So there are five key tentacles that are coming out, which is kind of encapsulating all these industries. One of them is blockchain. There's a public blockchain, there's a private blockchain, and both of these are different tracks that we offer. Third is DevOps, cloud technologies. Fourth is big data. Fifth is AI. These five key tentacles, if you can master them, you will be employable. Not just employable, but extremely employable at a very good rate, at least for the next 20 years. Just sit back, relax. You will be in demand. You don't have to worry and run up after people like, I lost my job or this and that or whatnot. And especially for women, for our mothers, daughters, and sisters, they really need to focus on safeguarding themselves from all the hustle and bustle of and corporate and all these kind of things. And the best thing for them is to, if they focus on all these five key areas, they can work from home, focus on, be able to focus on their kids and families and whatnot, and also be able to work from home. They don't have to travel. There's a very little traveling. Traveling is going to go away slowly and gradually, right? Dr. Fauci, this morning I was reading Reuters News online. Dr. Fauci is saying, like, still he's saying that coronavirus is, I mean, I just had coronavirus. Today is my sixth day. I've recovered, but my family, became very sick. My parents, my wife, kids, and everyone. But we recovered. Antibiotics, steroid medicine, and stuff like that. My wife is a physician herself, but It was a painful experience, right? This was our second infection that we had, and even though we were boosted and whatnot, but still. So this is a new reality. Pandemic is a new reality. This will keep on morphing, keep on changing, but this also opens door for all of us to get acquainted, with all these technologies. Start small, even if you can spend 1 hour, 2 hours a day, consistency. And if you do it like 1 to 2 hours a day for 3 months, you will be sitting on a job. So that sister who asked the
Zabardast.
question,
And this is
easy.
this is really so encouraging. And interestingly, I shared it with you, Faisal Bhai, earlier also. I have two daughters, and the elder one is in medical laboratory science, and she's just completed her second year and she'll be a scientist in next 2 years' time. And now, initially, when she started the university, she never thought that she would actually be thinking technology as an aspect in her career. Now she says that she wants to work 2 to 3 years as a medical laboratory scientist, and then she wants to uh, get into technology. So, and she actually was talking about Python and stuff, something that it really surprised me how there's a shift in the thinking process. And some of us, those who are more experienced, probably are not really thinking on those lines. And the younger one, who will be going to university in September, is already taking technology or whatever, computer science, as a minor in her program. So you rightly said, I remember in one of the discussions earlier as well, and today as well, there has to be uh, some kind of an alignment with technology. So if you are not aligned with technology, you can never stay current. And when you're not current, you're stayed. And when you're stayed, you won't find opportunities. As simple as that. We have, I think. More questions, and please ask questions. Those who are with us, this is your opportunity for next 10 minutes to ask questions. And there is one comment or question is that just select technology in which you want to go further. Surround yourself with technology experts and learn the fundamentals first. And I think this is a great advice. Often people get confused, and these live sessions are basically focused on those people who are confused. So you please ask questions. And some of you actually asked, where do you start from? And DevOps is one of the options that you have. And at Al Nafe, one of the DevOps track, if you take that, probably by the end of that track, you will become so addictive to technology that you would want to do blockchain and you want to do so many other things going forward. So the next question that I have in mind is, what do you teach these people, these students? What are some of the tips that you want to give out to the audience that we have, if somebody is looking for a job? And of course, Google was just one example. We talk about any other technology company that is out there. What are two, three things they should keep in mind when they are going for their first interview?
Well, one of the things that they obviously need to have the right technical skills. That's a must. But also having, uh, nowadays organizations are focusing heavily on EQ, emotional intelligence, as compared to anything else, right? That's one of the things that you need to have, because that will help you, assist you in terms of being able to communicate effectively, understand the perspective, so on and so forth. And uh, if I have to put an order, learn the skills. Second one is going to be able to market those skills, and that comes from uh, creating your profile on LinkedIn, on all of these channels, because as per the World Economic Forum report, 100 million jobs will be created every year in these key areas in automation, right? And as more and more organizations are going towards their journey of cloud, they're looking for the same people, like if you've done, your studies in marketing or accounting or business or finance or engineering, whatever. But they're looking for people not only with those base degrees, and sometimes not even the degrees, but having those key skills. So having the key skills is, is the most important factor. Being able to market yourself is the most important factor. And this is where, like, you come, this is why we created a whole ecosystem where you are able to modify your profile in a way that companies are looking for you rather than you're looking for them, right? So let them come after you rather than just like, the best flowers, the bees, they know where to find the best nectar. They are hardwired, you know, by Allah to where to find the best nectar. So they will jump here and there and they will find the best nectar, and that's how they make the honey, right? So similarly, if you can set up your profiles properly, these guys, these organizations, these HR departments, they will look for you because they are looking for all the key aspects. So imagine yourself as a flower. You know, there are male and female flowers, by the way, right? Uh, because they have these parts. If you go to this is not like a botany class, but this is just I'm just using a metaphor. If you are the right person, the right flower, these HR people will come after you. These experts will come after you to hunt you, and that's what is happening to all of our students. All of our, just Hamad Bhai. There's another student who just came from Germany. This is our sixth student going to PwC, and he was contacted yesterday by PwC, and they're asking for his resume, right? So I'm working on his resume. He took the same your course after going through building up all of his skill profile. He did that. So having the right skills, learning through our tracks, building up your profile, and working on your emotional intelligence. That is another key part. And for emotional intelligence, we are creating a course in the light of Quran and Sunnah. I mean, uh, that is something that we're creating, but you will find a lot of material on this as well. Emotional intelligence is something that many organizations are now advocating and looking for in a given candidate, right? So that's one of the things, because that highlights the importance of team building skills, team management skills, working within a team, working on your own initiative, all of these kinds of things, understanding the need, having empathy, and all these kinds of key skills that you need to be able to be the best of yourself, for yourself, not only for yourself, but also for the company and for the customers as well.
Yes, and indeed, the beauty that I always find with Al Nafe programs, and that actually encourages me to stick to the whole framework that you have, and to help students, is the engagement level. uh, the engagement level with the students is very high, and as you know, those who are here and the current students and those who will become students, there are so many programs that are available, and where coaches and teachers come live with students and coach them on a regular basis. So for instance, from next week, my two programs will start on a very regular basis. One is very specific to those who are actually current students, which will be focused at their LinkedIn. So they would have already learned LinkedIn in the course, and they will come and ask questions and I will help them improve their LinkedIn profiles. And that one like session every alternate week is going to be focused at current students, and then we'll also have a career coaching track, which will be a live session for anyone who wants to join in and learn and ask questions as far as like taking the career forward. And I'm sure EQ is going to be one of the key things when we talk. And some of the basic things, people usually do not focus at, and you rightly picked up, how do you present yourself as an interview is really really important. And I always keep saying it, there are three things that would actually help you, internal factors that will help you ace in your interviews, ace in your careers. That's knowledge, skill, and experience. And the next external factor will be your network, which will help you move on. In fact, just before this session, I was talking to a very senior professional from Saudi Arabia, who is a financial controller for the whole MENA region. And this young fellow grew very fast and now got stuck. And in fact, with him, I was talking about, you should really um, expand your knowledge level. So, you're a good financial controller, but you should really be looking at like a data science and more like technology focused career movement. So that will really help you. And this is the name of the game. When I was growing up, I'm much older than you. You might, mashallah, very young. I remember people still talking that there is going to be a telephone in which you will be able to see someone's picture when you're talking to them. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us don't even recall when we last had a phone where we could actually not see the picture. Everyone has a cell phone or maybe more than one cell phone. So this is the pace of technology. In the past 10 years, there's a complete transformation. And particularly in the last 2 years since pandemic, the transformation is just extremely fast. And I personally do not know where the transformation will take us, but what I always say is that, be part of it or you will be excluded. um, and this is how, and the best way to learn it, right? The best investment is when you make that investment in your own self. um, Technology is not going to go away if we keep our eyes shut. We'll still live, we'll breathe, and we'll eat, but will not grow. There are a couple of questions that are there. Think what would be implemented after cloud, like we see cloud infrastructure dump data centers kind of system, so we can expect recycle of technology. So I mean, this is too technical for me, so I'm sure you probably have a better sense of what he's asking. Please.
Yes. So one of the things you have to understand is just like organizations, they're utilizing commercial clouds, they're utilizing infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, application as a service, software as a service. Everything now is being offered as a service, right? So organizations, they have realized that they are not in the business of managing infrastructure. I mean, we as a company, we're utilizing IBM, AWS, GCP, Azure, and soon we will be utilizing Salesforce and DigitalOcean and a couple of other companies' technologies as well, right? Netflix is in the business of basically content, right? But they pay around 25 to 50 million dollars, something between that ballpark, every month to Amazon for utilizing their VOD platform, video on demand. That's the same platform that we are now integrating with, and we will be utilizing the same platform because we want to become the Netflix of the employment sector around the world, not just providing you a platform where you can waste your time. That's not us, that is Netflix. But our job is to make sure that we give you all the skills so that you can be successful and keep on working within the industry. So organizations have realized that they're not in the business of managing infrastructure. So these technology companies will be there for a long time to come. What they're realizing now is just like going completely towards the cloud may not be a good idea. So let's do a hybrid approach, right? Let's keep some in the cloud. For that we use the public cloud wherever we can, and keep the critical stuff within our private data centers or whatever the case is. And that's where they're creating their own clouds, private clouds, managing by themselves, so on and so forth. So I've been in the industry for quite a long time, and what I've seen is just like, there was a time that people used to say cybersecurity jobs are ending, automation is coming up, this and this and this. But then they boost, now we have a huge, more than 300,000 jobs are available in Brazil. These are leftover jobs. Even after the talent, the gap was 500,000, but only 200,000 people were there in the market to work within cybersecurity. The remaining 300,000, it's a gap. And every year it's growing. In America, it's the same thing. In European Union, it's the same thing, right? So if you, this is not me, if you go online, you will review the report. So because of the automation and complexity and all these kinds of things, these new technology and jobs will keep on coming up, and these new solutions will keep on coming up, right? So uh, what will as I said, quantum computers. It was very difficult for anyone to buy a quantum computer, but now organizations can utilize quantum computing as a service through cloud providers. Amazon is providing that. IBM is providing that. Azure is planning to provide that. Or I think they may have it. GCP is already planning to provide that. So organizations will now, because of the cloud technologies, they now have a means of utilizing these things. So they won't go away, they won't be dumped, but they are coming in a different manner, right? They are packaged in a different manner. That's what's happening within the industry.
Yeah. And now we have another question, which is not directly related to this topic, but I think it's a good question. How do we how do we think digital marketing will change in the next few years?
Digital marketing is being morphed and being consumed by big data and artificial intelligence at a very phenomenal pace. Uh, if you do not know how to utilize DevOps, if you do not know, first of all, you need to learn DevOps. And I said this is the one of the singular track every single person needs to learn, wherever they're from, whatever they're studying, accounting, marketing, finance, business, engineering, whatever. Because all the solutions that their industries or for the industries that they're preparing for, those industries are utilizing all those services through the cloud. So you need to learn the cloud. You need to learn all developing applications and stuff like that. If you know this, then uh, you can utilize AI and big data services for managing marketing data. Because if you go on IBM Watson, just search on Google IBM Watson services, you will find predictive analytics regarding customer conversion, digital marketing, customer conversations. There's a lot of things that organizations are right now doing, and they're utilizing artificial intelligence and big data at their disposal. And those people who are developing these applications, those are data, those are marketing guys, but with DevOps skills. So DevOps is one singular skill that you need to have, no matter what you do, what you are. You need to, and you need to learn how to code, and this is where you learn all the automation aspects. And if you do this, Sister Sadaf, you'll be in a much more better position to work globally and have this sense of job security for the next many years to come.
Superb. Interestingly, Faisal bhai, I think our live is becoming popular because at least I have removed six, unwanted guests who wanted to join in, maybe trying to hack the discussion. So far, I've removed six. So I think we are doing something exciting in this scheme of things. So 53 minutes in our discussion. I'm sure a lot of us will probably have more questions. I would actually. Request Faisal to give some concluding thoughts on how people should proceed if they are looking at uh, finding more information about Al Nafi, and how would they connect. See, one of the things that we have is career.alnafi.com, where they can go and ask questions. But what are like couple of things that you would suggest them? They should start like studying first, and then of course, how Al Nafi team could really help them.
The Anafe team is there. They can speak multiple languages. If you go to anafe.com/support, right? This is where many our operators are sitting there. They can answer your questions 24/7. Throughout the year, 365 days. They speak multiple languages. I mean, we are using artificial intelligence. So if you speak Spanish, you send us an answer in question in Spanish, we will be able to answer, we'll be able to see that on our side in English or in local dialect in Urdu or Hindi, and we can respond back in our own language, write it down, and you'll be able to see the answer in Spanish, right? So this text to speech, speech to text conversion, all of those things we are utilizing to the max. Our goal is to make sure that we bring technology in your own local language, right? So if you learn these things in your own local language, this will significantly help you, and this will expand your horizon, because when you learn things in your own local language, this helps you understand and retain information, right? But then you also have this opportunity where we provide 10 hours a week of English, live English teaching in all the advancement tracks, where you can sit down and improve your English as well, because English is the predominant language spoken by almost a billion, more than a billion people around the world, right? Second is Chinese, and then it's Spanish and Portuguese and French and other languages, right? So we entertain in all of these languages. Uh, if the only thing that you have is that is stopping you from being successful, as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, I'm not going to I'm not going to quote anyone else. For me, the most important words are from the Quran and the Sunnah. I'm going to, utilize those words. Most of the people who will feel sorry for themselves is when they waste their time. Time is the most important commodity, right? Utilize time and do things. Even if you can do a thing like that day, if you can learn for 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 30 minutes, start there, start today, start learning. We have a program known as uh, Pay Now, Study Now, Pay Later program. So you can pay, if you can't pay $100 a month in terms of getting the full experience, and or $2,000 on an annual basis, you can become our affiliate. You can earn something, but at the same time, you can pay a minimum, and you can study now and pay later, and pay the rest later once you are able to secure the jobs, right? This is interest-free program. There is no interest in that, and that opens a lot of doors. A person who sells ice cream, he makes ice cream in a makeshift makeshift factory in Asia, and he came to us and said, like, for 2 years I was, he was earning, if I have to convert his salary, he was earning $8 a day, $8 a day. And he said it took me 2 years to gather enough, because I had to support my family as well, to gather enough to buy a PC, a computer for myself. But the fee that you had was too much for me. But then when you offered this program, Study Now, Pay Later, I was able to start studying. This person is now studying DevOps. A person who has his education as, who only did his 12th grade, but was not able to study further because of expensive schools, expensive colleges, expensive universities. Because education is one thing that creates segmentation within the society, right? It creates segmentation. So if you study on this program, you can study now, pay later. It's completely interest free. And if you run away, for example, or anything like that, we don't come after you. We don't do that, right? But we expect good conscience from you, that we in good faith are doing this, so you do it in the same good faith as well, right? And if a person dies in Islam, if a person dies and he owns someone a debt, it's a big problem, right? So we always say, the whole, uh, your debt, whatever you took from us, is completely free. Don't worry about it. So if anything happens to you, you get sick, you're not able to pay it back in 5 years' time, whatever the case is, we let you lose and say, okay, that's fine. Or you die, or whatever the case is, we say the loan is forgiven. We have written that in the terms and conditions. If you start doing that, education is one thing. There are more than 500 million jobs available in the sector globally for the next 5 to 10 years. They will keep on growing. If you study, and even invest 1 hour a day, 1.5 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, in 3 months' time, you'll be earning from home $2,000, $3,000. So between you and through $3,000 earning or more, or your global migration towards other countries within G20 or whatever the case is only uh, an effort of around 3 months, where you have to study for 2 hours a day, 1 to 2 hours a day. If you can do that, you can change your lives. Jazakallah khair, uh, Hamad
Um,
bhai.
thank you very much. जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you very much. The session is a bit overrun, and there is a question which I'm sure your team will respond later on. It's about Kardasna. Thank you very much for joining in. Thank you everyone for being part of this conversation. We'll bring Faisal Bhai again in next 2 weeks' time. Every alternate Thursday, he will be with us. So join in, ask questions. This is your opportunity. Thank you very much. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.